Hi, it's Ian. Welcome back to 30 Days of Knife Skills. This is day 9, and I am working with zucchini. If you're a home gardener that grows zucchini, you might look at this and be kind of shocked at how small these are, but it's telling you that this is quite early in the season when people are not sick of zucchini yet, and uh, even at this small size, people are kind of back to that enthusiastic mode of summer vegetables like zucchini. Much, much very different from later on in the season when we get these giant zucchini that we don't know what to do with and try to give it away as much as we can, or make bread or do it whatever we can to think about. But this size is actually quite nice. So even when my zucchini are growing, it's kind of nice to pick them small and keep it all manageable as much as possible. By far for me, the most common way, my favorite way to have zucchini is on the grill. And a zucchini this small, I would probably, instead of slicing it many times, I would just slice it once or have it once, right down the line like this. You could take the end off or not. Either way is okay. I usually don't eat that, so maybe the first cut might be to take this off. And there's also that little end on this side, which it can be sometimes hard. So maybe that might be the first cut I would do. Take that off, and then if it was bigger, I might do 2 or 3 cuts lengthwise. But in this case, this to me is the perfect size and shape for grilling. So I will put olive oil here, plenty of salt and pepper, and grill it like this until it's very dark brown. Same thing on the other side, and then it's ready to go. If you go too thin with these on the grill, they kind of break down too much, and we don't want that, where it's really hard to get off the grill or it's just become really, really mushy, and it's not that pleasant to eat. So it's nice to have a little bit of texture when you're grilling these, because it can go from firm to soft very quickly. So on the grill, halved like that, that's definitely my favorite way. I do that probably most often. So some other ways to do zucchini, maybe another way that I do quite a bit would be to do a roll cut. So again, because zucchini, they don't hold up very long. So if you slice them thin and saute them, they kind of turn mushy and watery. So I like to try to avoid that by using high heat, and maybe cut them into a little bit bigger pieces, unless I'm trying to incorporate them into some kind of a sauce and go really fine. So a roll cut would, very simply, I would take the tip off, just like with any other long vegetable. Make one cut at an angle, and then quarter turn roll. Do one more, again. So this shape is very nice because each piece is pretty much uniform, and it has multiple surface areas and different size surface areas. So it's kind of nice to have this kind of shape for example, a quick stir fry. I might do that, or if I put it in a soup right at the end so it doesn't get too mushy, that might be a nice bite-sized shape. That's you can get it with a fork or spoon, chopsticks. It's all sort of utensil friendly in that way. So the roll cut is pretty normal in the things I do. Another one might be like a julienne. So maybe for a salad, or some people actually will take. I don't have one with me here, but you can take a vegetable peeler and just get very, very thin pieces and kind of mound it up almost like zucchini ribbons or pasta shapes like that. So that's one way that some people will make salads. I don't tend to do that much, but perhaps, so before I halved it, maybe I would go for first this kind of size and then stack it up. And so if your knife is not as long as this one, you could definitely have it this way first and then do the same thing. Obviously, it's a little bit faster if you just work with the one length. So So something like this, I'm not sure if I would be able to use it in this kind of length, but very easy to cut this in half. And this might be a good, very quick saute. This shape is really, really nice for something like fajitas. It's easy to grab. It cooks very quickly, and it'll take flavors very readily. And once it's seared really quickly, then it's easy to take kind of a bunch and put it on the bottom of your tortilla, and then put whatever else on. So that's kind of a useful thing to do. Of course, from here we could take this and, for example, for a soup, for creating a soup, and again, because this will break down pretty quickly after only a couple minutes of cooking, maybe when you're cutting it this small, you would only put it in at the last few minutes if you're putting it in a soup, so that you still get some texture, but you get nice, pretty looking dice like that. So, of course, we can go smaller dice. I wouldn't usually normally go much smaller than this size dice. This is like about 1/4 inch. Again, zucchini break down, so I tend to go bigger pieces rather than small. We could also do slices. We could do slices in the half. This might be good for like a marinated salad. So we have this kind of shape that is definitely easy to eat raw. It has a nice crunch when it's like this, and it'll take up flavors pretty easily. If you salt it and leave it for a minute, it'll definitely wilt a little bit and make it give it a nice seasoning that way. So we could do it in half or keep it whole and do slices on the whole and get rounds. I tend to not do that too much, but that's another one. A variation would be to go on the bias like this, and maybe go a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker. So you have these kind of triangular shapes that I like cutting. I like using this kind of shape. This would be good for a stir fry as well. It's probably very quick to just half it and then do a biased slice like this. A very quick way to go. So sometimes it's just about speed. It's not so much about, for me, the exact thing, the shape or whatever. The pan is already hot. I just threw in my onions, and before those overcook or get seared, I need to put the next thing in. So I would very quickly try to cut up something and throw it in there, and before you know it, dinner's done. So that's sometimes it's just about speed and not so much about the exact thing I'm doing. So that's pretty much it. The main thing I would do is to have it or wide slice and grill with olive oil, or roll cut, or maybe this kind of a thick biased slice with a triangular shape is the next most common thing I do with zucchini. And then maybe this kind of small dice for soup, and then maybe a thin slice for using it raw. So these are some of the ways I play around with zucchini. If you're making zucchini bread, if it's later in the season, then maybe that's the time to get out the grater and just break it down and get really pieces. And usually for zucchini bread, you want to get some of that moisture out, and you're squeezing it. So when you grate it, it's easier. So that's a task not for a knife, but for a different tool, like a grater, or even a mandolin might help you get there if you go very, very thin. So anyway, that's pretty much how I work with zucchini. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll see you on the next one.